This is a quick tutorial to show how to make changes using the FileZilla Secure FTP client and a WYSIWYG HTML editor such as Netscape Composer, CMonkey, NView, or Kompozer. In this example I'm going to use Kompozer with a K because it's free and the most recently updated of this lineage of editors. You'll notice that they are strikingly similar in function and layout, and I'm not going to tell you which version to use. I do not believe that the instructional support technologists currently support any of these editors, but there's enough history with this editor at PCC that I thought it would be helpful to create this tutorial. First, what you'll need is a Spot account. Hopefully you already have that. FileZilla for making a secure FTP connection. Your Kompozer-based HTML editor, and a web browser. And in this example I'm using Firefox. And I'm actually going to use this document, test.html, on my Spot account for our example. First, we want to switch to the FileZilla Secure FTP client. If you don't yet know how to set up the FileZilla Secure FTP client, please click on this link here and it will take you to instructions. In this example I've already filled in my information. You can put in the host name, username, and password, and I'm just going to hit the quick connect button and I'm connected to my Spot site. Now I'm going to scroll down immediately to my public HTML folder because that's where my web-based content is, and you'll notice that on the left side I have my local site information and the right I have my remote site information. One way to do this would be to have a copy of your website on your local site and make changes and upload them individually. That may be the better long-term method for managing a website, but for this example we're simply going to edit on the fly. So I'm largely going to ignore everything on the local site. The first thing we need to do in FileZilla is actually define which HTML editor we're going to use. So go to the Edit menu at the top, go to Settings, then in the Settings pane scroll down to File Editing. By default it's set to Do Not Use Default Editor. We're going to change that to use a custom editor, and I'm going to click the Browse button to locate that. Most likely you'll go into My Computer, into the C drive, into Program Files, and then locate your HTML editor here. I found mine in the Kompozer folder, kompozer.exe, and I double click it and it adds it to the editor path. And I'm going to make sure that Always Use Default Editor is identified, so when we edit something in FileZilla it opens it in the kompozer.exe. One last and important item is to make sure that you have a checkbox here where it says Watch Locally Edited Files and Prompt to Upload Modifications. That's sort of the key to this process. FileZilla will watch to see if a file has been edited and saved and prompt you to upload that changed version back to Spot. So once this is all set, we'll click OK. And we're going to find that test.html file. And there it is, test.html. And if I right click on it and choose View Edit, and I'm going to discard the local file and download a new file and click OK. What it's doing is it saves this test.html file to a temporary directory, and since I've worked on it in the past it still has a copy there. When I click OK, it downloads the file and opens it up in Kompozer. Now this is a fairly similar interface if you've used Kompozer before. I'm not going to spend any time with it. Instead I'm just going to type a response that yes, it worked. And then I'll click the Save button. So when you click Save and then switch back to FileZilla, you'll see this notification that the file has changed and it wants to know if you want to upload the file back to the server. And we're going to say yes. So that sends the updated version back to spot, and then if we refresh this page, we see that yes, the change has taken. If we wanted to do that again, switch back to FileZilla, find that page, and go to View and Edit. And this time, since I just worked on that file, I'm going to reopen the same file and add another line. And then I will save that change. Note that this method really only works well for changes to the text. If you need to make changes including adding images or links to media files, you'll probably want to use a different method of publishing, because this does not also publish those image files. So since we've saved, we go back to FileZilla. It tells us that the file is changed. We click yes. It uploads that change. And then we can go back to Firefox, refresh, and there's our change.